I'm slowly dying and I have to do something. I remember knowing to myself, I have to rip this sort of safety net of security and force myself to free fall.
Lindsey Ray is a singer, songwriter, musician,
producer, sinker.
Welcome to the Big Silence Podcast, Lindsey Ray.
Wait, what is this actually? Is this really about this music? Is this really about career? Or is this about the fact that I am still that little girl who doesn't feel good enough? That's where the work is. And so I've spent the last 2 years pretty much just sitting alone with myself and just thinking.
You're pouring your heart and your soul and your thoughts and
Yes.
everything into it.
Yes.
And if someone doesn't like your art, you're like, where's my work?
I need to have that decompressing time. That's where I do my best thinking. I need a certain amount of solitude in order to stay grounded. I really finally accepted the fact that I'm not gonna get to a point where I'm like, oh, I'm healed now. It's gonna be forever.
The Big Silence. It's time to sing.
Welcome to the Big Silence Podcast, Lindsey Ray.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to meet you in person. We connected in 2022 when the book came out, and
Yes.
I was going on a book tour. I met you because you did a very generous donation to the Big Silence Foundation.
Yes.
And I'm like, who is this? And Rachel found you and we just connected. And so number one, thank you, because with all our programs for therapy for all and the resources we provide, you helped a lot of people.
Yay. Thank you. That makes me so happy.
Yes.
Yes. I saw that you had started doing this. And I was a TIU girl.
Yeah.
So I had worked out with you, girl. So I felt like I knew you anyway. And then I saw that you were doing that. And I was like, oh my gosh, how cool is that? And I just have always, like, secretly behind closed doors sort of struggled with my own mental health and you know, family dynamics and things. And so that kind of work is very important. Like, I understand the value of it. And I was just really happy to see someone else in that space and doing that. And I was like, yeah, I had like just gotten to a point where I finally made a little money and I was able to donate somewhere. And I saw that and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to donate there.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
It's so interesting how we get to a certain point in our lives, and you've followed me through Tone It Up and then starting the Big Silence. And how is that freedom of being able to talk about mental health? How does that make you feel now?
Oh my God, it's like 1,000,000 pounds lifted off your shoulders when you're able to actually speak what's going on. I think for a long time in my life, I sort of suffered silently, honestly, because I didn't even know how to talk about what was going on. It was just such a private experience for me. I was a really anxious kid, and I spent a lot of time alone in my room just with my thoughts and working things through. And I think I sort of thought that's just what my life was going to be. I was just going to always sort of have this little secret battle that I'm going through and never speak about it. And I feel like humanity is in a place now where people are more open to talking about it, and more people are talking about it, and people like you with influence and who have, you know, a following. That definitely opens the door for people like me to feel like it's okay to, I mean, I've always talked about it with my friends.
Yeah.
Like anybody who's close to me, I feel like I am very open about things, but I'm very picky about who I share all of that with. Yeah.
I understand that. I know, because I wrote my book. And so you were supposed to, when I was coming to Nashville on my book tour, we were supposed to have the Nashville tour with you and have you perform because you're a musician and artist and songwriter, singer. And then I got COVID. My last 2 stops I had to cancel. I was like, no. And there were so many Tone It Up girls who were coming to the Nashville event. But now, 3 years later, hey, why not?
Better late than never.
Yeah. How would you describe yourself? Tell us about you in your own words.
Well, I present as a singer-songwriter. I mean, that's been my business and my career for over 20 years now. I'm 42. I moved to LA when I was 25 and kind of like really got into the business at that point. But I had already been, you know, chasing that dream since I was 13. So I feel like I became professional at 13. It just took a long time for the world to kind of catch up to me. But I guess that's how I would identify as a musician. But I don't know. I'm also just a real sensitive girl. Sensitive girl with big feelings, very observant. I like to observe human behavior. I find it very fascinating. I find psychology fascinating. I find just the whole story, the through line of people's like conditioning from their childhood and how it shows up in their adulthood and how it never really leaves you, and all the ways that we all get this little like grab bag of like, hey, these are my wounds and these are my things that I'm going to have to work on forever. And I find that fascinating to explore in my own life for myself, but also I like seeing other people talk about theirs because then it makes me feel less, shameful about mine. And it helps you, I think, understand people on a deeper level and love people on a deeper level when you're able to kind of like peek behind the curtain, I guess.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Like authenticity. Because we talked when we connected on the phone before my book tour, and we talked for like an hour. You were in Vienna?
I was in Vienna.
On your wedding.
Yes. I was eloping in Switzerland,
Yep. Okay.
and we were kind of doing our honeymoon before the elopement. It was all backwards. But so we were in Vienna just chilling for days before we went to Switzerland to get married on a mountaintop. No big deal.
How was that?
It was lovely.
I'm sure
it was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
It was just us.
Yeah.
And the photographer and the wedding planner.
Yeah. So 13 years old, you feel like you became a musician. Were you writing a lot?
No, I wasn't writing yet. So I grew up in a family where everybody was musical. My dad was kind of the go-to musician at family parties, playing the piano and singing and stuff. So I grew up singing all the time and doing all that stuff at family things. But it was at 10 years old, I became Annie in a local play, just the production of Annie in Maine, in the small town that I was in, which is obviously, a lot of kids have been Annie, not a big deal. But it was a big deal for me because I was a very shy little girl who spent a lot of time in my room alone. And so all of a sudden I'm on a stage and I'm kind of, presenting as like this confident person or whatever, this character. And my parents were like, we didn't know she could do that. Like, cause they just knew me as the girl who's like always in her room by herself. And so that's kind of like that feedback from the community and everyone thinking I had something. That was probably the point where I thought to myself, this is what I want to do with my life. I wanted to be an actor too. I wanted to be a singer and an actor. And then, around 13, I went to LA and like did some talent competition thing.
Oh yeah.
Called IMTA, which is where Jessica Biel was discovered. By
really?
The way. Yeah, she was
what
discovered.
What is IMTA? I feel like that
International Modeling and Talent.
Oh yeah,
something.
Hey, I went to one in Indiana. They traveled around. Wasn't that like a big thing, like that, where they went to different cities and then you could make it to LA?
Yes, you like audition. Yeah, so I auditioned. But Ashton Kutcher, that's where he was discovered too.
Really?
Yeah, as like a model or something. And then, anyway, that felt like, wow, I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to like try to do this thing. And basically they were all of the talent agents were like, you're great. You should move to LA. And I looked at my dad and we're like, okay, cool. See you when I grow up.
Wait, did you move at 13?
No, I'm saying like, that's why we were like, oh, this is great. Thanks for the feedback. But like, we're not moving our family. So I just went back to my normal life. And then I didn't really become, I guess, who knows when you become professional. I feel like at 25, it feels like that's a point to mark because that's when I moved to LA from Maine.
Okay.
And I had like a little indie deal. So that felt like, okay, I'm leaving my small town.
We were in LA at the same time. Well, I moved at 18. I'm 44, so I was there for 20 years. So
wow.
Maybe, did you go to the clubs?
No.
Oh. Then we didn't cross paths in our early 20s.
No, I was so professional. I went there and I was like, I have work to do. And I was like the girl who
had clubs to go
went to bed early and woke up early and did my, workouts and then went to my writing sessions. No, I was super boring.
Okay, I just want to throw out here. I read that you have written songs for Mariah Carey, Demi Lovato, and Tiësto.
Yeah. Okay. Random. So weird.
I know it's kind of like shooting forward, but you moved to LA. I want to get to that. Like, that's incredible.
So I moved to LA. I had a small little indie deal, actually through MySpace.
No way.
So I posted a video.
All music.
When I first started writing my own songs, I was in my early 20s. And anyway, and I just started writing songs at home. And then I went on a trip with my friend to San Francisco to visit another friend. And I went to an open mic night. My friend filmed it because we were on vacation. Mm-hmm. And I posted it on my MySpace. And someone said, hey, there's this competition, you should enter this video in it. And it was a competition where like, if you win, you get a record deal or something. Wow. And so I entered the thing, and the people who were running the competition called me and said, hey, like, I don't know if I should say this, but they were like, hey, we want you to win, but we have to make sure that you would sign this contract. They sent me the contract, and I sent it to my lawyer, and he was like, no, this is terrible. And so I said, no, I don't want to. And then they were like, oh, well, maybe we'll just sign you anyway. And so I ended up doing this small indie deal. That's what got me to move to LA. Once I got out there, I was there for, I guess, maybe only a year or so before I did the Tiësto thing. And that only came up because the guy I was dating at the time was a music producer who was producing my music. Very cliche, I know, started dating my producer. But he was going to be recording vocals for some other girl, Priscilla On, that was going to do just sing vocals on a Tiësto song. And she wasn't there. And so he said, hey, will you sing these vocals real quick just to kind of map out the song, and then we'll send it to Tiësto's people. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And they liked my voice. And so they came back and said, who is that? And I guess just kind of like put a note in their file somewhere that they liked my voice. And so years later, they reached out again and had me write to a couple of his tracks. And then one song.
What tracks?
It was called I'm Home, I think. But there's a song called Slumber.
Okay.
That I didn't write. And that's the one that I'm sort of known for. It's Steve Forte Rio, his alias name that he does. It was Steve Forte Rio featuring Lindsey Ray, and it's called Slumber. And I didn't even write that song. I just sang it. Like, they sent it to me, and I tracked all the vocals on an iPhone headphone mic.
What were the vocals? Do you remember?
I don't really, off the top of my head. God, isn't that terrible?
Something.
That was so long ago. But it was one of those things where I tracked it. I remember I had strep throat. I was super sick at home on my laptop. I didn't have a mic. I just had my iPhone headphone thing, and I was holding it really carefully so it didn't give like that noise or whatever. Cut all the vocals into GarageBand. Sent it, and literally thought, this is just such a crapshoot. Like, this will never happen. Didn't hear anything for the longest time. Didn't think anything of it. And then randomly one day, my manager was like, hey, Tiësto's releasing that song. And I'm like, wait, but we never did real vocals. They're like, nope, they used the vocals you sent.
Hey, magic can be done.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, still kind of blows my mind.
So I didn't know Tiësto had an alias.
Yeah.
You kind of have.
Someone called me Hannah Montana the other day, and I was like, you know what? It's actually kind of accurate.
You have some aliases, some creative identities.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that.
Okay. Yeah. Actively right now, Raelle, Oleana, those I would consider my alter egos, I guess. And then Lindsey Ray is just me. But I started those just because I got into the world of writing for music licensing, just writing for film and TV, and advertising was usually the goal, but a lot of times it would end up on TV shows and things.
Like Grey's Anatomy and such.
Grey's Anatomy and I don't know. I mean, so many shows. But at some point, I think I just got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't have to pick what kind of artist I want to be, which was really cool, because that was always a struggle for me in music, was deciding what's my identity, what kind of an artist am I, what kind of music do I make, because I want to make everything.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because I think artists are feeling a little bit more freedom now to change their genre or try different music. Or I mean, look at Jelly Roll or something, or MGK, but people are having that freedom to feel like they can try different genres.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there was a stigma that originally that you had to stick to a certain genre?
Definitely. I started going to New York when I was in high school and working with a production company there. And so the people that were sort of teaching me, mentoring me of like, this is how you get into the business. These are the rules. This is how it works. Yeah. The message that I was receiving was like, you have to pick a lane. And I even remember a guy telling me when I was 19 once, because I didn't love the music I was making at the time. They were writing all the songs for me and I was just singing them. And I remember thinking like, like they had me dye my hair. It was pop, but it was like pop R&B. Yeah. But they wanted to call me Lynx. Like they were like, you need a name. So they were like Lynx. And I was like, I don't get to be Lindsay? Okay, I guess that's fine. And then dyed my hair like this orange color. But there were all of these things that they were doing in the name of sort of helping me get a deal, right? Helping me get a record deal. And they were training me like, if you're in an interview, you need to talk like this. And like everything was fake.
What was Lynx's personality?
Lynx, it was me, unfortunately. But what it was supposed to be, or what they wanted it to be, was like a little more edgy and kind of cool, like Pink. Like when Pink had just come out at that time. Okay. Yeah, they wanted me to like pretend like I was edgy, and I'm not. Like I'm not. I am so not. Like I would love to be, but I'm just not. I'm like bubbly and sweet, and so I hated that whole process. Actually ended up turning down a record deal when I was 19 that would have been probably a pretty big deal at the time. It was with Epic Records, and yeah, I just was like, but wait, this is not the dream. Like you're telling me that everything I've been working for, now it's here, but I have to pretend to be somebody else. Like that's not how I want to do it. And it was a really big deal for me to turn that down. I was devastated. I felt like my entire career was over at 19. Wow. I hadn't even started.
I applaud you for being like, I just want to be me.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It was hard.
And I can feel that too, even in my journey with my career and Tone It Up. And I'm like, I don't want to be on the beach running around in a bikini anymore. Which is great for that time, but I'm a woman now. Right. I finally have broken my silence about what I've gone through. And now my mission is to help other people heal through movement and through sharing stories and fitness too. But, you know, we should be allowed to be who we want to be.
Well, how can you heal if you're not?
Right.
I mean, you literally can't.
How can you heal if you're living in a lie?
You can't be denying yourself and having a fake presentation to the world and thinking that you're going to be fulfilled. Yeah. And luckily, I knew that. Some part of me was very like, no, I will not. This is not how I'm going to do it. So I thought it was over. And then I started writing my own songs, which was a big deal. And then that MySpace thing happened. And then I got out to LA. But all these other sort of monikers came about because sort of my career has been like just a giant. It's like as soon as I think I'm gaining some momentum, I kind of blow it up and I'm like, I don't like this anymore. And then I go a different direction. And it's been a very colorful career. So for years after I was in LA and doing just the singer, you know, performing at Hotel Cafe and all of that, I felt like, I don't really like what I'm doing. Maybe I'll just write for other people. Yeah. So that's when I started doing the writing where I wrote for Demi Lovato. I mean, I didn't know I was writing for Demi Lovato. I was just writing a song. Yeah. And then it got sent to her A&R and she cut it like the next week in her album.
What song is it?
It was called In Real Life on her Unbroken album. Okay. It wasn't a single or anything, but it was on the album and that was really cool for me. And then the Mariah Carey thing, it was very similar where I got an opportunity through a friend.
All I Want for Christmas?
No, yeah, can you imagine? I'm donating it all to the Big Silence. No, I got an opportunity through a friend to write for there was a Disney movie, the Oz the Great and Powerful. And so we wrote a song, and then they didn't know who the artist was. They tried a bunch of different artists and ended up landing on Mariah Carey. And I was like, wow, I get to say I wrote a song for Mariah Carey.
That's super cool.
But my point is, I got to a point where even writing for other people then started to feel like I got into that same trap again where I was just people pleasing and I wasn't really expressing myself. Mm-hmm. And again, I was like, is this the career I want? Do I want a career where I'm trying to write what would sound cool on pop radio and all of these, you know, trying to pretend like I'm Rihanna or something and I'm not, you know, and it was not fulfilling. And so then I fell into the sync licensing thing, and that opened up so many doors because it was like, hey, in this world, first of all, there weren't a ton of people doing that at the time. Yeah. So it was kind of open-ended, and you could kind of write anything that you wanted because there was a place for everything, really. Yeah. Maybe for advertisements, it's a certain sound, and then, you know, movie trailers is a different sound. And so I discovered that this was kind of like a really cool playground for me. And I didn't have to worry about being signed or worry about touring. I could just write whatever I wanted to write. And I did. And I had so many different types of genres in what I was writing that I felt like I had to create these different monikers to sort of compartmentalize them. Yeah. So that I could be like, okay, well, when I write a pop or a rock type song, I'll be Rael. And when I do this rappy thing, I'll be Aliana. And so that's just kind of what I did to make it make sense in my own brain. And so, yeah, I still kind of feed those a little bit. I haven't really been doing as much of that lately, but they're still there. And so, like, whenever I write those songs, I now have something to filter it through.
We're going to put all, like, where you can find those in the show notes.
Okay.
So people can find you in all of your different characters. So being in the music industry for over 20 years, let's talk about mental health. The ebbs, the flows, I'm getting signed to this and that, the changes in career. And I think you can span not even, music industry, but so many industries and entertainment or careers overall.
Yeah. I mean, it's really just life, I guess.
Life. Let's talk life and mental health.
Yes. But I do think particularly the entertainment business, because it's so like performative, like the whole point of being a performer is looking for external validation, right? It's like if you're a star, that's what comes with it, is people are like, oh my gosh, you're a star, and they fawn over you. So that in itself is part of the business, but it's also, if you're not grounded, I think it can be a real trap. So I had to pretty early on start figuring out like, okay, how do I feel good in this space? Because I'm basically putting myself in a place where I'm being rejected constantly. I mean, if you're a songwriter, you write thousands of songs and most of them are rejected.
Yeah, and you're an artist, so you're empathetic and sensitive, and like you're pouring your heart and your soul and your thoughts and everything into it.
Yes.
And if someone doesn't like your art, you're like, where's my worth?
Yes. And it's so inconsistent, even when you do have moments of success, unless you're like one of those very few people that gets the lightning in the bottle thing where you're signed to a label and you've got a machine behind you and everyone's helping you. Like, I've always been independent. So I've always had to kind of just figure it out myself, which I like, but it's also, that brings its own challenges too. And so, I mean, I think in the beginning of my career, I was just so like head down working. I was a bit of a workaholic, honestly. And the thing that kind of kept me sane or kept me grounded was exercising, which is where you came in. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
I had to work out in order to sort of calm my brain, and I did a lot of affirmations. I watched a lot of Super Soul Sunday. Oh my gosh. And I was really into Ian Van Zant. She helped me a lot. Just, I was into all that sort of self-help stuff anyway. So I took little pieces of those things and just kept those in my mind to help me. But it wasn't until I got older that I realized, oh my gosh, I thought I've been doing well this whole time. And then I got to a point in my career where I had what felt to me like a lot of success with my sync projects. And I was getting a lot of commercials, a lot of ads. And in that corner of the industry, I was well respected, which felt really good. It was like, oh, finally, like people are valuing me and all of this. Why am I not happy? And that was something I had to really deal with. Wait, why isn't this feeling that whole? And then I realized, because I'm basing all of my value on what other people think about me, and whether or not, even if I don't think the song is good, like I have songs that to me maybe aren't like groundbreaking songs, right? But they've served their purpose and they've served an advertising company's purpose. And so they've been successful. And that was hard for me too, because I felt like, oh wait, now am I going to be known for something that I don't even feel like is the truest expression of who I am? It's like a piece of it, which really is a thing with sync licensing. So music that is made for advertisements, really, there's a certain box that it has to fit within in order to be licensable. And while that challenge is really fun and I loved it and I got good at it and that felt really good to be good at something, it also felt like, oh, I can only express this one side of me. And I now have all of these other things that I want to do. And how do I do that? And if I walk away from this, am I like cutting off my lifeline, all of that. So that kind of stuff started to come up. And I did eventually get to a point where 2 years ago, I left the company that I had been with for a decade and that I'd been having all of my success with. And everyone around me is like, what are you doing? Because I was at kind of peak success, but I wasn't happy. And I wasn't feeling proud anymore because I think I just knew that I wasn't dealing with my real issues, number one, and I also wasn't expressing myself fully.
What was the process of deciding to leave the company that you were successful with?
Just like getting to a point where my body was literally rejecting the process. Every time I would go into a writing session to write another song for a commercial, I felt like everything in my body was resisting it. Anxiety, my skin was breaking out like crazy, trouble sleeping, and knowing what it was the whole time, feeling like, oh, I need to do something different, but telling myself I can't, because this is the thing that you've now finally found something that people value you for. You can't let that go, that's so scary. But at the same time feeling like, but just very similarly to when I was 19 and walked away from that record deal. Yeah. That same feeling of, but this isn't how I want it. I don't want to do this forever. I want to be everything that I can be. And I feel like I've already kind of maxed out in this space. And so even if I walk away right now and never make money doing this again, I'm going to have to figure it out. And it's going to be worth it for me to figure it out, because I'll at least be true to myself.
Yeah. So how has that gone?
In the beginning, it was very empowering, because I was like, and terrifying, but empowering as soon as I made the call to the company and was like, listen, I'm going to stop doing this. And it's not you, it's me, basically you guys have been great, but I'm slowly dying and I have to do something. I remember knowing to myself, I have to rip this sort of safety net of security, which is so important to me. That's one of my deep wounds, is always needing security. And I finally created it, and I decided I'm going to blow it up and force myself to free fall and figure it out. So it was empowering, it was terrifying. And then the first full year after that, a lot of crying.
Okay. Noted.
A lot of crying, a lot of identity crisis. Who am I if I'm not doing this? This is what, this is what I feel like I have achieved some sense of recognition for or value for. And now I don't have it anymore. Is everyone going to forget about me? Am I ever going to be able to even write with anyone again? Will they still write with me if I don't want to write a song for a commercial? Will people still even want to work with me? I totally spun out with all of that and spent a lot of time basically digging to the root of that and figuring out wait, what is this actually? Is this really about this music? Is this really about career? Or is this about the fact that I am still that little girl who doesn't feel good enough?
Yeah.
And once I realized that, I was like, that's where the work is. And so I've spent the last 2 years pretty much just as much as I needed to, sitting alone with myself and just thinking through writing, sometimes free writing on my computer, reading books, listening to podcasts.
Have you gone through therapy or any other work, or you just...
I did little spurts of therapy, but I haven't been great about being consistent about that. I've sort of been my own therapist, which I don't know. I don't know if I should recommend that.
But you have rituals. Yeah. So what are your rituals to help you stay grounded? Or
walking in the woods. Nature is really big for me.
Yeah.
I did that yesterday. Yeah. And still exercising, but not exercising to the point of killing myself, which is also very hard for me because I used to do that.
Well, we all did when we were younger. It's now.
No, but I did up until a year ago.
Oh, okay.
And then my joints were we're tired. And also we need to stretch,
We need to stretch. We need some mobility.
Yeah.
Weightlifting. We're in our 40s.
Yes. I'm very into the weightlifting.
Yes.
I love heavy weights now. Now all I want to do is deadlifts and chest presses. And baths also.
What?
Taking a bath every night.
Oh, baths.
That's very big for me. Warm water.
Do you put salts in?
I do. I do salts and I do bubbles and I light candles. And that is if I don't get that time, I notice the difference. I need to have that decompressing time. That's where I do my best thinking, I feel too. I think I'm a bit of an overthinker, honestly. I think probably a lot of people with anxiety are. That's why we have anxiety. But I need alone time. I need a certain amount of solitude in order to stay grounded, just because I am so sensitive to other people's feelings and emotions all the time. And I am a people pleaser. I can really lose myself if I don't get enough time to be alone to realign and figure out, wait, what do I actually think? What are my feelings? What are my opinions?
Yeah. And so I'm very much the same way. And when we were on a call in 2022 for an hour and we talked about our family dynamics and there was a lot of similarities, it's probably from our childhood how we, as adults, have these tendencies and people pleasing,
Oh,
anxieties.
yeah. Trying to manage other people's emotions,
Yeah.
thinking that it's your responsibility to keep other people happy.
Yeah.
That's fun. I don't know how you feel, but I also came to the realization fairly recently, which this seems like it should be obvious, but I really finally accepted the fact that I'm not going to get to a point where I'm like, oh, I'm healed now. Everything's fine. And now I can just run off into the sunset and everything will be easy from now on.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that I've healed a certain aspect of my childhood. And then years later, it comes back up, or I'll be triggered by something through work or whatever. And then I'll realize, oh my gosh, I've already fixed this. Why is this coming back up? And then I realize, oh yeah, it's going to be forever. Like these are, I'm going to have to just keep reminding myself and keep realigning myself.
But you learn, you're like, here it comes again.
Yes.
Now I
can
know how to
recognize
manage it. I recognize it. I give it a name. I manage it.
Yes.
Instead of having you spiral all around.
Exactly.
So now, these days, what does success mean to you?
I love that question.
Yes.
I love that question because I've been thinking about it so much. And it's a big thing for me because success for me used to be money, acclaim, other people respecting you. You know, that's what I thought success was, which seems so, I'm embarrassed to even say that. That sounds shallow, but it's the truth. Like, that's what I thought.
I think we all were taught that, though.
Yeah.
And then you have to unlearn, like, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now success to me is being able to take actual full breaths down into my belly, not breathing the shallow breathing thing, which is such my default setting, right? It's living authentically. It's doing whatever I'm doing it with intention and doing it because it actually reflects who I know I am and what I actually want to bring to the world, which I feel really strongly about. Like, I have realized in the last year, again, I'm like, oh, like, it's not about, I don't have to fix everybody's stuff. I don't have to make everybody see everything that they need to know about themselves like that. That's not my job, but I can be an example of somebody who is working on myself. I can be an example of somebody who is living in their truth and living in joy. And I hopefully the chain reaction of that will be that other people will see how to do that for themselves, and then they will be more joyful. Because I really do feel passionate about, I want people to feel good.
Yeah.
You know, I guess because I want to feel good. So yeah, success to me now is just living in a way that feels good. And to me, what feels good is just being honest and it's saying no to the things that I don't want to do. What a concept, but so hard to do. It took me so long to be able to say no.
Same here. I just learned boundaries in 2017, and that's a big game changer.
Yes, boundaries, and just like knowing what brings you peace, knowing what keeps you grounded. And we all have such specific things that sort of tune us to that point of balance. Yeah. And I just don't do things that take me out of that. I mean, obviously stuff happens where that does happen, but then I recognize, oh, that's not working for me. That's not good for my mental health, or that's not feeling good in my body. Yeah. So I feel like I've just really learned how to trust myself and listen to my body, honestly, too. And now that is the mode from here on out. I know it's not always going to be easy. In fact, I expect it to be very hard, but I'm okay with that. As long as I'm doing what feels right to me and I'm creating art that I love, not just art that I think is going to be monetized. I don't want it to be about that anymore. Yeah. And on some level, I feel like I'm able to be in that place now because I did work so hard for a long time. So I recognize that. Like, I don't want it to sound to people like, oh yeah, just only, don't worry about making money, just have fun. It's like, that's easy to say, like everyone needs to survive, but there is a balance within that. And I think the more we can, especially if you're an artist, the more that you can create authentically, it's the only way. It's the only way to actually feel at peace in your heart, I think.
I love all of that. I agree with all of that. And I feel all of that. And as I'm continuously coming into who I am already, but don't know, and trusting yourself, and just, as I get older and wiser, just being more confident. Yeah. And it's all about what you just said.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. Real confidence too. Yeah. That's the other thing. Yeah. I used to think, because I've never really identified as a confident person.
Yeah.
I've been confident in my career, in my ability as a writer or as a singer. In that way, I have been. But even that, there's something a little superficial maybe about it. It doesn't feel like real confidence to me now is like, no, I know what my opinion is on this matter and I feel comfortable with it and I feel free to express it.
Yeah.
Which sounds so easy, but it hasn't been easy for me. I'm the youngest of 3 kids. So like, I feel like being the youngest, sometimes you kind of like, you just like your siblings sort of lead the way or whatever, you know, and I have like very opinionated siblings. They're very bright and very opinionated. I had to like find that middle ground where I can be myself and have my own opinions and speak my own opinions, and also with the risk of knowing that it might ruffle some feathers, you know, and that, I can manage this now. That's okay. Like, I don't have to take that personally. That's been a big thing for me too.
That was one of the biggest things for me, is having an opinion, having a voice. That is the big silence. Number one, the things that people don't talk about. Number 2, we're tired of being hushed. I always say this many times, just be a good damn person. Speak your mind, support others, love, live in peace, live in joy. And we all deserve to be happy.
Yeah. Don't you feel like the more you give yourself permission to do that, the more you give other people permission to, even if you don't agree with them?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in the last few years, that's another shift that I've noticed for myself, is I have so much more grace and compassion for people around me, even people that I would normally be like, oh my God, this person's awful, or they're like total narcissist or whatever. Now I see them and I think about it and I'm like, oh, they're just, that's the level that they're at right now, of how much they know themselves, how much they accept themselves. And now when people are really angry or all of those things that, like, I have a hard time around anger. You're like, oh, I wonder why. I realize now that it's not me. You know what I mean? It's not personal.
You stop personalizing things.
I personalized everything. Everyone's behavior was my fault for so long.
It's like the best tip. Don't personalize everything.
Yeah.
It's
not
you,
almost
it's
never about you. It's almost, it really is not.
Yeah.
Everyone is in their own experience and existence, and they're all in survival mode to some extent, especially if they're not working on themselves or healing themselves. Like, they are fully in survival mode, knee-jerk reactions, you know, just saying hurtful things and behaving in aggressive ways. And it's not because you did something wrong or that you deserve that. It's just that you are, oftentimes I find that, like, that the more I present calm and collected, the more it ruffles other people's feathers that aren't healed, right? Because they're like, then they think you're like elitist or something. You're like, no, I just honestly am unbothered by this because I know that it has nothing to do with me. And I don't have space in my heart or my mind right now to take that on. And it's not mine. I'm not taking it.
Amen.
No, thank you.
Amen. I think that's a good part to, end the podcast at, not taking things personally.
Yeah.
Don't hold it in your heart.
Yeah.
We need to release this anxiety and live in joy.
Just stay true to yourself. And as long as you can be proud of yourself and your behavior and how you're showing up in the world, that's what's going to make you sleep well when you put your head on the pillow at night. That's it. You don't have to worry about how other people, what they're thinking about what you're doing. Just stay true to you and to your set of values, and allow those to evolve as you grow, because they will. And that's okay too.
I'm going to take those wise words from Lindsey Ray to my pillow tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm embarrassed to say this, that my handle is so bad. And I just want to say that I want to explain myself.
Okay.
I want it to be at Lindsey Ray Music, because that makes the most sense. And that's what everything else is for my YouTube and all that. It is not available, and I cannot get Instagram to help me change it.
Of course not.
So my handle is Lindsey Ray Blue, and I apologize in advance.
I like it, Lindsey Ray.
That's
Ray
how
Blue.
you find me.
We will put all of your links and your YouTube and everything in the show notes. And thank you so much for hanging out with me in Nashville.
Thank you.
The big silence. It's time to sing.